This is the first of two videos showing a walk to and from the King's Arms across country. I hope you enjoy it. I noticed on Facebook that there were a few requests for a route across to the local pub, the King's Arms. So I'm going to start off this morning in Long Green. You may be able to just see the railway bridge there behind me, so you know where I am. Okay, so not very far, and we are going to go down Granger's Lane, which is an ancient lane which has just recently been adopted as a footpath by Essex County Council. So we'll start off down here. Okay, I don't know too much about the history of this lane, but it does seem to connect the A120, the old Roman Staines Street, with the A12, another Roman road. There's been various disputes in the past over right to walk down the lane. It's now been established pretty firmly, but back in the early 1900s, I understand that a farmer put a gate across the lane to stop people walking through, and a group of Marks Tey residents broke the fence down and burned it. Unfortunately, they were prosecuted and fined quite heavily for the time. Following the lane, it's quite obvious where to go. It does get a bit muddy obviously in the winter, or when we've had periods of really heavy rain. Just walking past the pond. Okay, straight on here, and again we're following the lane. Notice we've got a hedge over on the left hand side there, and we are going to do a left and leave the apparent lane here. It gets very wet down there at most times of year, and I believe that they diverted the footpath round to this route. We're out in the open now, and we can hear the traffic a bit more. Then we're coming up to join the footpath that runs from Wilson's Lane. There's the direction from Wilson's Lane, from the footpath there, and we're going to do a left here and head across in the direction of the A12. At this point, the footpath we're going to take goes round to the right, so we'll do a right here. And again, this is a footpath, may not be marked. Those of you who follow the channel will know that I've run this many times. I normally run it rather than walk it. You'll notice it becomes more overgrown in front of you. That's because the footpath here goes round to the right. So again, it's quite clear. There used to be footpath markers here. So we've got a clear footpath here down to footbridge. Now careful across the footbridge, there's a plank missing. There's overhanging bramble there that caught the hat, so we'll have that off. And we're going over the footbridge, minding the missing plank out, and then we do a left around the edge of this field. Now basically we just keep to the edge of field, so we've got the hedge on our left hand side. This time of year you'll notice that the footpath is quite badly overgrown. It gets worse further down, so be prepared for that if you're going to do that this time of year. But it's not too bad. I'll go up onto the footpath, otherwise I'll walk on the edge of the crop, just right at the edge, being careful not to tread on anything. Coming up to the second footbridge, footpath clearly marked there again. Now this is the point where it does tend to get a bit more overgrown. Runners amongst you, it's well, getting to be almost impossible to run on this because it is just so overgrown. At this point you've done a tad over a mile, so you're probably over halfway there. Right, now we're coming out onto Elm Lane, and we're going to cross over Elm Lane. Ooh. Okay, so go up to the orange gate here. Now it is a footpath down. Ooh. Yep, Fearing Falcons have their pictures. We'll see them up here in a moment. We've got the Fearing Falcons football pitches. They're coming up to the end of the fence here of the football pitches, and we go straight on. Okay. Again, where some of this is overgrown, gone out onto the field edge. Like, brambles are a real nuisance if you're running, as I often do along here. So as this one's blocking the footpath, I'll just remove it, take it. And teasel. It's a pretty and was once useful plant. Convolvulus there. My grandmother used to call beauties. And there's a very useful plant here, great mullein. Now you can check this out, but this plant, great mullein, is has been used in traditional tribal remedies, you know, in America, and herbal remedies in this country for centuries. Good for all sorts of things, you know, chests and earaches and various things like that. Here's a footpath sign telling you which direction to go. I don't know if you can actually see it. Hold that across. So we bear slightly right here, and you can see the footpath right in front of you. We are heading towards that lone tree in the middle there. At the moment we're on a footpath, but then this changes to a bridleway. We'll follow this bridleway, bearing round here to the left. Don't make the mistake of going off to the right here. I have done it myself. We're heading down to the next marker post. Approaching the next marker post. So we've been on this bridleway. It does get a bit churned up by horses sometimes, and now you notice we've got a choice of 3 directions. We're going to go right here and head towards the A120 and the King's Arms. Right, we come towards this footbridge now, which we're going to cross, and sometimes this is horribly overgrown. That was the case recently, and some old boy came out and actually cleared it. I think we managed to catch him on camera. From the footbridge we follow the footpath, and it's quite clear. Farmers laid a path across here for us. Out onto the A120. The wheat in this field looks pretty much like it's ready for harvesting. Guess the farmer will be doing that in this next spell of dry weather. Do remember, this is a public footpath and you do have a right to be here. Okay, don't stray from the footpath, obviously, because you've got no right to be there, but if you keep to the footpath, you're okay. Now onto the A120. Obviously you've got to be careful here crossing. It's just a case of waiting long enough. Yeah, that wasn't too bad at all. Only had to wait for about 15-20 seconds. Oh, I should mention that we turned left towards Coggeshall when we came off the field there. And we're arriving now at the King's Arms. Nice looking pub.